Oh no. Started a little early before I could look at what number we're on. I think we're on number 123. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, today is November 14th, 2013, and this is the KNKL show number 123. I'm your host, Kienan Lafferty, and today is Thoughtful Thursday. We like to gather around the bonsai tree, relax after a long, crazy, hard day's work, right? And we talk about what it is to be alive, what it is to be an artist. And we press on towards our goals and dreams and maybe, discover some things about ourselves. Today what we're going to be talking about is what it is like to be the king. What is it to be the king? I was working on this picture yesterday, and this is Richard Castle, the designer for the new Emma Comic Online website. This is one of his characters, and I was drawing this yesterday. And I was looking at this, and I was like, you know what? This is interesting. This reminds me of a saying. And the saying that I want to relay to you guys today is, be faithful when the numbers are small, and we will make you ruler over many, aka the king. And this is, I think this is a biblical quote or something like that, but regardless, it is awesome, and I really like what it says about living and just like being happy with what you have at the moment, being happy and being grateful for what you have, being faithful when the numbers are small. And the contrast looks like I look like a carrot today. I was messing around with like the exposure on my camera, so it makes me look a little bit different. It actually looks like I went to Hawaii and got a big tan. So yeah, I look a little bit more handsome as usual. Yeah, it's very nice, coupled with the facial hair. We'll roll with that, and that'll be good with talking about becoming the king. Okay, so anyway, yes, being faithful when the numbers are small, and this can be applied to a bunch of different things. This can be applied to money. This can be applied to, followers of, a comic or something. If you're trying to gain a following, if you're trying to, for me, when I first made the show, my mentality was, oh man, I'm going to make this show, and then if I get like 100 subscribers week one, then I'll know it's worth doing, right? And be like, oh, if I don't get this many subscribers, I'm just going to quit. I'm just going to forget about it, because then what's the point? What's the point? And that can be a very toxic and a bad mentality to have. And I feel like a lot of people have this mentality, and I was guilty of this too. I was totally guilty of this. Of basically saying, well, all I got is this, right? But if I had this over here, this nice thing, this nice job, this amount of money, this kind of car, I'd take good care of it, right? I would take super good care of it. But one of the biggest things that I've noticed is that if you don't start taking care of and being grateful for the things that you have right now, then most assuredly you're just going to continue to get things that you're not going to be grateful for, right? You're going to get things that aren't going to make you happy. And even if they are things that should make you happy, you'll still find a way to say it's not enough. You just get in this mentality of saying, oh, well, yeah, as soon as it's the terrible thing that happens when you have this goal, you have something that you want that's put onto you by, your friends, family, somebody, your impression of what other people want you to be. When you finally become that, you're left with this empty feeling, and you're left with, is this all there is? You're left with, oh man, this wasn't really even worth it at all anyway. And it's like, it's such a bad mindset to have. Whereas I think that once you start understanding the things that you would want to do, regardless of money, regardless of how cool you're going to look in front of other people, regardless of how much people are going to respect you. And those are all things to, I'm not saying, oh, well, you have to be completely pure and not care what people think of you, because let's be honest, we all like to look cool. We all like to be the man, right? We all like to be the king, and that's what we're talking about today, but in a different sense. What I'm kind of proposing today is that we become kings. We become kings by being the best versions of ourselves that we can be. And becoming kings by becoming the ruler of ourselves, right? Instead of trying to stick, instead of trying to like beat everybody else down, like stick your head, it's like stand on their shoulders and like push them down into the mud, instead become a ruler over yourself. In fact, I've heard it said that one of the most challenging things that you will ever do in your life is the attempt to master your mind. The attempt to master your mind is the hardest thing that you will ever do in your life. And it's a constant struggle. It's a constant battle. because your mind always tends to always want to go back to this state of laziness, this state of, oh, it's not a big deal anyway, forget about it, or the state of, oh, well, yeah, I said I was going to do this for somebody, but maybe they'll forget about it, or they're not that big of a deal, I can just flake on them this time. Or, saying that you're going to do stuff, right? Just like lack of discipline. Your mind has a state to go automatically to negativity, lack of discipline, and just not doing anything with your life. And I don't know exactly why this is. It might be just the constant struggle, the constant battle of good and evil, right? And it's happening within your mind too. You want to be something great. You want to be charitable. You want to give things, but at the same time, you have this battle that's like kind of pulling you back, and you're like, no, everything's for me. Everything's selfish. It's like, what's in it for me? What's in it for me? I don't care what these other people. I don't care what's going on with these other people. And to an extent, that is the truth. To an extent, a lot of people really only care about their own problems, and that's understandable. But one of the things that kind of helped me out with the things that I worry about and like my problems and stuff like this is it sounds kind of funny to say it this way, but I ask myself, it's like, so how many people in the world do you think care that oh, I'm worried that I might not be able to make my car payment? Or how many people do you think care that I quit my job to make a comic and I'm living with my parents right now, but I want to get my own place, right? How many people do you think really care about that? And the answer is probably not many. Probably nobody. Probably nobody cares. Nobody gives a crap about where I'm living, what I'm doing, unless there's something in it for them, which is understandable. I'm making the comic, people enjoy it. Okay, people are now interested. I'm living, I want to get my own place because I want to feel like my own man, and but I'm living with my parents right now, and that makes me feel bad, but nobody cares. I have bills to pay. Nobody cares. And I like looking at it this way because it's like, well, if nobody else cares, what difference does it make if like just one more person doesn't care, And I say that in a sense of just like understanding, like I'm sure you've heard of the law of averages. And the law of averages just states that, things that happen, they tend to happen on an average rate. You ever notice that? Just like, it just seems like do something enough times and a ratio starts to appear. Try to sell some product to a number amount of people or try to talk to this many people and a ratio starts to appear. And the same thing can be kind of applied to your life. And this is what I really like to do. It's like, well, how many times have I worried about stuff and then it ended up being something really bad? It ended up being something that absolutely ruined me. How many times have I worried about something and then had that exact thing actually happen? And the answer, for me, is actually never. All the times that I worried about, oh, where am I going to live? And, oh, no, I might become a hobo. And, oh, no, my car might get repoed. Or, something stupid, right? Or, no, my computer's crashing. And, it's just like, you get another, right? It's like everything is just fixable, especially when it comes to money. If there's a problem that money or man can solve, then it's not really a problem at all. So, and I really like that saying too. I think that a lot of people worry about things, and I think that their problems reside in things that are easily replaceable, or things that don't really mean that much or really count for anything anyway. And yet the things that people should be grateful for, the things that we get that are irreplaceable, like, this might sound cheesy, but it's like you're an artist, right? Like look at the body that you've been given, your hands, right? These tools that you have that are able to take what is in your mind and literally project it onto a piece of paper. You're able to create things and show people what is in your mind. Like that is such an amazing skill to have. And yet that is not valued as much as something, like a brand new car or something, or bills to pay. You think about those things and you spend too much time worrying about all the negative and you don't focus on, whoa, like I have an amazing gift here. Like I should just be so grateful for the ability to live and just have these things. And I think another thing that kind of drops the value of, say, your body, your hands, like how much would you sell your hands for? Like say, oh, we're going to come by and just take your hands off, and how much would you sell them for? $1 million? I sure as heck wouldn't. What it's like, what would be the price that you would sell for your legs or your eyes, if you had to be blind for the rest of your life? And I think it's funny that we base our value off of what we have that other people don't. And I think that's another thing that we need to kind of let go of. We need to let go of this feeling that, just because everybody else has it, it's not valuable. When in actuality, the opposite is true. It's just people don't look at it that way. So, yeah, and another thing that's really important, speaking of being grateful for what you have, is your mind. And again, becoming king, becoming a ruler over your mind, taking charge of yourself, becoming a king of your own life, I really think is what I'm starting to understand that my life is supposed to be. Like, my life is not about trying to control everybody and everything so that it pleases me. It's not about trying to do that, because a lot of things that are not you, in fact, most of the things that are not you, you cannot control unless it's like a machine or a car or something. But like circumstances, people, don't even try to control people. That will end up in a terrible disaster. It's like I've tried to change people, but they don't. People just do not change. They never do. They never ever do. The only person that can change that person is themselves. So yeah, you just have to accept people. And once I learned to accept people for who they were, like this person does this thing, oh, they're super negative, they're always putting me down, they're always just like, they're super lazy, it's just like these people that I meet, or like this person has a terrible temper, or they get angry, and it just really bothers me. It really bothers me. And the reason why it bothers me is because I wish that they were different. But once I stopped having that mentality of wishing they were different, and instead you'd be like, no, you know what? That person gets angry, that person throws temper tantrums, that person's negative, that person puts me down, and I still love them, right? They're still my friend or my family, right? Or acquaintance or whatever. And of course, you should always look at your relationships and understand that, if they're not contributing anything to you, if all they're doing is just dragging you down, you don't need to talk to that person anymore. You can just take off, right? You just say, see you later. I'm going to go find some other people. And you will. You will find other people, and you will attract people. You will attract people that have the same mentalities, that believe in you. The people that you need around you, you will automatically attract them once you stop trying to change everybody else around you. You just accept people for who they are. And it takes a huge weight off your shoulders. Because it's like, oh, well, there's nothing I can do about it anyway. So I'm just going to focus my energy on myself and the things that I control, the things that I do. Okay. Okay. Let's see. I wanted to talk about something else too. Oh, shoot. Totally just slipped my mind. Yeah, just like, I really think that, I tell you guys a lot that my life is becoming very simple. And I think the reason why that is because I'm starting to understand that really all I have to do, like all these things that I thought I had to worry about before, and all these things that I thought I had to change before, really can't be changed and really don't need to be worried about. So instead, I'm just like, those things just handle themselves. Those things are just there as they are, and I can't do anything about them. So I'm just going to let them be there. I'm going to accept them for who they are, or what it is. I'm going to love it, and I'm going to appreciate it, and just, move on and then focus on myself. Okay. So that's number one. That's how you become king over yourself. Stop trying to control everybody. You becoming king really means just focusing inward, and understanding that your mind and your body and just everything about you, there's always this constant war between good and evil. You're always going to want to go the lazy route. You're always going to want to go the negative, selfish route. But there's also another party that's pushing back, that wants to go the charitable, good route. So pay attention to that and really understand that it takes time. Like for me, a big thing is, yeah, I want to make sure I'm staying in shape. Oh, this is another really good example. Oh, I'm so glad I thought of this. Okay, so before when I would work out, I'd be like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to get buff. Yeah, so we can, look at this little muscle. Like, I'm proud of this. Oh, you can actually see a little bit of my carpy there. Nice. Nice. It's probably because I haven't been eating that much, and I'm starting to lose a lot of body fat. But anyway, I was like, yeah, I want to get buff so I look good, right? So I look good for people. And I had the motivation for a little while, and I did it and all this stuff. But, lately I realized that I think a good mentality to have when you're working out is not necessarily just how you're going to look. Oh, yeah, I'm going to look good. You'll look good too. But I think a good mentality going into it, for me, and especially for artists, because artists, we sit down and we draw all day. We don't want to get up and lift weights and go out and run outside. Some of us do, but me personally, I really don't. I know. The only reason why I like to do it is because it keeps my energy up. That's the most important thing to me, is energy. Energy is so vital when you're creating a piece, when you're creating a business and a comic. It's so important that I'm not, freaking laying in bed. It's just like so hard to pull myself out of bed in the morning. I gotta have that energy. So that's why I work out now. And I only do it once a week. I literally only work out for half an hour once a week. And if I don't do that, then it's just like unacceptable. It's like there is something terribly wrong if I cannot work out once a week for 30 minutes. And it has happened before. And when that happens, I'm just like, no, this is not. It's so easy to just get back on. Okay, so next thing I want to talk about is um, ruler over many. Ruler over many. I want to talk about this one more time, and I want to relate it specifically to business and money, because I think that's something that we always like to talk about as artists. It's like we want to make it big. We want to become famous. We want to make money doing what we love. And let's see. One thing that I've noticed that's worked really well for me with money in business is do it because you really want to do it. Do it because you are passionate about what you're creating. I'm creating a comic not because I necessarily want to make money off of it. It's like if I can make money and I can figure out a way to make this full time, then I will, because I just love doing it. I absolutely love doing it. But again, this is a common trap that people fall into. It's like, okay, I'm going to go to high school. Oh, and my uncle is in the medical field. He's a doctor, right? Or all these people in my family are doctors. And this person over here is a chiropractor. And they make a lot of money. They make a lot of money. So I'm going to do that because I want to make a lot of money. And people get these degrees and they pursue these things in search of just the money, right? And I agree that money is a definite thing. Like you can't say that you don't need money to live, because you do. You actually do. And so I understand that people naturally will go for that. But I think a big thing where people shortchange themselves is they need to ask themselves, what could I do? Almost like, what could I do even if I wasn't getting paid anything? What would I do? What do I want to bring to the world that I would rather die than not see it through, right? And this is a big thing that just like resides within me in the comic. It's like, I don't care necessarily how much money I get from it. All I know is that I made a commitment to myself that this is going to get done, regardless of what happens with it. I just want to see it through. And I think that when you take on that mentality, it's kind of like, it's a really interesting thing. It's almost like you open a door, right, for like all this energy and the universe and inspiration to like pour things into. As soon as you say, I don't need it, I don't care about this, I don't care about attracting a team, I don't care about money, then all of a sudden these people start coming to you. Like, you don't go out and look for people to help you. These people come to you and be like, oh hey, I noticed you're making this thing, I really like what you're doing, I love this comic, and I want to help you make a website, right? And people have done this, right? Richie Castle, the guy who helped me make the new Emma website, he came up to me, he approached me. People that are helping me create the comic, the line artists, Alicia and Ozzy, they came up to me and talked to me. Let's see, who else? Brian Hogan, he came up to me and said he wanted to make the forum. So it's so funny how it seems like all you have to focus on, as funny as it sounds, all you have to focus on is what you're good at. Focus on what you're good at and learn a little bit, like learn just the surface of what it takes to create a website. And what's really interesting is the reason why I looked at how to create a website was because the first time I had some other dude create a website for me, he really did not do a good job. It was a terrible website, and I paid him way too much money for it. And then I didn't know how to work the dang thing. So I was like, all right, next time, we're going to make this happen. But I think that's another thing that I want you guys to understand, especially all you young people out there, right? And I don't want to be like, oh, you young whippersnappers, you just don't, because whatever problem you have right now, that's important to you, and I understand that. The problems that I have right now, of course, 10 years down the road, I'll look back and be like, what was I whining about? What was I whining about? Everything was going to work out fine anyway. But I totally lost where I was going with that. Oh, shoot. Oh, man, I'm such an idiot. Woo! Oh, you can actually see me turn red now. You can see me turn red on the camera. That's great. But whatever problems you have, I just want you guys to focus on just focus on understanding that you're going to get through it. Understand that just by law of averages, it always just seems to work out. So the best thing that you can do is, instead of putting your energy into worry, into negative worry and all that stuff, put it into positivity. Look at the bright side. Focus on what you can control and do the best thing you can at it. And that's how I kind of want to wrap up today's talk. We've been going for about 20 minutes. I'm going to wrap up today by talking about becoming the king, becoming the best version of yourself. And this is specifically for all the artists out there. And I mean, I say art, and it's music. Anything that you do is art. Whatever job you have, you're making freaking coffee at Starbucks. You're an artist. You're a coffee artist. Okay? If that's what you're passionate about. So, becoming the king of whatever you do doesn't have to do necessarily with doing it doesn't have to do with doing what looks good in front of other people, especially for artists. Because a lot of artists say, oh, well, I got to learn these techniques, and I got to work in the industry, so I gotta do this and this and this and this, and study all these things so that way I can be a good artist. But really, the best artists in the world out there are not actually people that are that good, right? They're not that technically good. Well, what they are good at is being iconic. They're good at being recognized. They stuck with what they wanted to do. Exactly. They created a style for themselves. And that's what I always tell you guys out there. Don't lose track of that unique style that you're going to bring to the world. Because that is how you become the king. You become the king by creating your unique style. Not becoming a clone or doing what everybody else likes so you can look cool and everybody loves you because you're doing this type of art that's really, popular. If it just so happens that you're into a popular art style and you like to do that, then go ahead, go ahead and do it. But don't change yourself for other people. Don't change your style and do all these things. It's good to understand what people want, especially it's good to understand what people want when you're working in an industry. I understand that. If you have a job, then yes, studies have shown that, this and this and this sells. So you should make your pictures like this. But you know what I've noticed? When stuff like that starts happening, you start to feel like a robot. You start to feel like, but where's the creativity? Where's the thing where we get to step out the box and try some things? What happened to that? What happened to the creativity? Everything's just laid down exactly what we need to do now. And I feel like if you get into any sort of work environment where it's like that, that personally does not work for me. I need to be able to explore. I need to be able to be creative. I need to be able to make mistakes. I really do. So, anyways, okay guys, I'm going to open up Q&A trebuchets. Please cast your questions like this car over the castle wall. And I'll take a couple questions, and then we'll call it good. In fact, I'm going to start off with a question that I got yesterday. But where the heck is it? Alright, this question came in from Base Monkey. He was asking, if you had the money and the time to go to an art school, would you have? He's relating to how I am self-taught. He says, I'm in the predicament where I have enough money to cover my first year and then some, but I'm nervous of spending so much money for art school. I'm thinking of just going for 1 year and test the waters a bit. Okay, so this is a common question that I get a lot about schooling. Where do I go? My parents are paying for my tuition. They want me to go, so what do I do? But I don't know if I really want to go to school. And from the way that you've worded it here, Base Monkey, it sounds like you've got enough money to go for your first year, so that's good. If you want to do that, if you think that that's fun, and you like being in a school environment, the only reason why I like being in a classroom and learning art that way is because I'm surrounded by other artists. Other than that, the price that I pay for some dude to teach me, how to do art, it's I don't care how you teach me to do art. I'm going to learn on my own. I'm going to figure out my own way, and that's me. Some people work really well in classroom environments, so if that works for you, then you go ahead and do that. But Base Monkey, I would say definitely. Give it a shot. Give it a shot, especially if you have the money to just spend on the year. Otherwise, figure out where else you can invest that money into. So anyway, let's see here. Any questions here? Oh, in the meantime, I'm gonna load up Epic Avatar music. I have worked my butt off today. Oh, I did not take proper breaks. I always talk about taking breaks, guys. I did not take breaks today. And look at me. Look, this is what happens when you don't take breaks. You look like this. You look like this, tired and haggard and tan. Manly. Alright, someone 0956 is asking, do you believe talent is the most important factor in what you do, or do you think that it's time and effort? That's an interesting thing. Time and effort goes hand in hand when you're learning, and you're always learning. But talent is a hard thing to define, because I don't like people that say, oh, well, you just have the talent. That's why you can do art. Like as if it was just handed to me. Like, oh, thank you, glorious, generous gods, for giving me this talent, and I didn't have to work at all for it. Right? No, I worked for my entire life. I worked my butt off to get as good as I am now. And I'm still learning, right? I'm still learning, and I want to improve and go and go and go and go. So talent is something that I like to stay away from. It's not talent, it's skill. And that goes hand in hand with time and effort. The time and effort that you put into creating a skill will give you what other people call a talent. And that is, like, talent is just such an excuse. I always hear it thrown around as an excuse. Oh, well, you just had the talent. Oh, well, I just wasn't lucky enough. When they were handing out the talent, they just passed me over. And people just don't get it. So stay away from that word. Stay away from talent. Okay. Last question. I'm going to ask... Stan Cleaver is asking me, how do you keep yourself motivated to keep going at one piece? I have so many ideas that it's hard to give myself just one at a time. I end up with millions of scattered doodles. Stan Cleaver, this is good. I think it's good that if you just have ideas, it's good to just really sketch them down or just write them down really quickly. But I think that it damages the mind when you start something and you don't finish it. It starts to build this subconscious feeling that I'm a person who doesn't do what I say. It damages your integrity, and that affects everything about you. It affects your self-confidence, it affects your skill, because you just have this constant recurring thing of, oh, well, I'm just so distracted. Oh, I'm just so scatterbrained. I never finish what I start. So I would challenge you, Stan Cleaver, to really lay something down and see it through to the end. Even if you're just like halfway through, you're like, this thing sucks. Like, everything about this sucks. I've had pieces. In fact, I just finished a piece, which I'm going to be showing you guys very soon. Well, you guys have seen it. It's actually the Emma one, and I was talking about this a couple days ago. The Emma one with the clouds and everything. I'm going to be releasing that picture very soon to you guys. But I felt that way. Like, when I was drawing it, I was like, this piece sucks. I don't like it. I really don't like it. I just want to scrap it and start another one or go for that other thumbnail. And again, like I said, I just made the commitment, especially because you guys picked it. That was another thing that kind of brought me back to it. I was like, no, you know what? The chat picked this. My audience picked this. And what kind of person would I be to go back on that and be like, well, yeah, I knew you guys did that, but I really wanted to do this. And I could do that, but I just didn't want to. I didn't want to. I think that there's something powerful. Even if you finish it and it sucks, it still gives you that feeling of, I'm a person who finishes what I start. Alrighty, peoples! I am super tired, but I want to thank you all for joining me live on KNKL Twitch TV. People on YouTube, thumbs up if you like it, thumbs down if you don't. You guys have a great weekend. Might be getting something awesome over the weekend, possibly. We'll see what happens with that. Until then, you guys take care, and I'll see you on Monday.